investing into companies now, when I look at companies now, I think, how AI proof are they?
Generally speaking, the stock market is now 15%.
Inflation, the cost of living affects everybody, whether you're 15 or whether you're 90. Unemployment will affect 10% of the market. It's not going to affect 90% of the market. 90% are still working. That's if it gets to 10%, but let's round it up. So 10% of the market. So you've got inflation, number one, that affects everybody, cost of living. No one's immune to that. The retiree's still got to pay more for whatever, travel, food. No one's immune to that. That's a virus, right? Just affects everyone. Secondly is that interest rates, that affects a certain sector of the market. Unemployment affects less of the market. It affects 10% of the workforce, perhaps. So that means that there'll be no work for that space. So right now we're not at 10%, we're nowhere near that. The real unemployment figures of the day were probably 2% more than what there's been disclosed now with the government. I think it's a lot higher than what they claim. So inflation, interest rates, unemployment have their own characteristics, playing out. So inflation, once that comes off, everyone benefits. Almost everyone benefits from a lower inflation environment. Interest rates, a certain sector of the market, borrowers, non-deductible, homeowners, they get some reprieve. But unemployment affects probably 10% of the workforce. I'm talking about, when I talk about unemployment, not only about the 6 to call it 10%, I'm talking about that could be more severe by the rate of technology. That not only be out of work, because cutting's one thing. If I cut down from 100 accountants down to, or 100 planners down to 70, that's unemployment issue to the economy. If that industry all of a sudden is done now by a software program or an algorithm or code, the other 70 are gone too. So it's not just a case of going from 100 to 70. I'm talking about oblivion. Kaput, those areas that now are no longer, or require 3 people instead of 100. That's what I'm saying. So there's really 4 elements there. There's the inflation. Everyone benefits from the cost of living. No one's really enjoyed the inflationary period in the last 2 or 3 years. Cost of everything's gone up. And interest rates, certain sectors benefit from higher interest rates. The retirees, because they've got no debt. Their savings, their cash accounts are now earning 5 and 6%. They've been earning 1. They benefit. Unemployment is just pure cut cost rationalisation to improve the bottom line, to improve the bottom line, to improve the bottom line. I'm talking about the new wave on top of that. That's the sugar on top, that exacerbates the sector. Not only cut cost is elimination, not to compete, obliterate, eliminate. That sounds aggressive, but you certainly have seen it. And so that's, investing into companies now, when I look at companies now, I think, how AI proof are they? How resilient is a particular business? Insurance is a great one. Insurance now has become very innovative online now. You can try and speak to someone, it's everything online, application online. Banking. People say, well, banks have made a lot of money because they cut cost. Their profits they're not making any more money. The 4 banks aren't making any more money than what they were 5 years ago. It's the margins and cutting costs. You can't walk into banks and good luck if you get customer service. I remember going to even be in 2009 walking into Citibank, which I banked over there in New York. And they said, Mr. Harkins, it's so good to see you. And there's security guards at the front door. And they said, look, you're not going to believe there's balloons everywhere. And I said, what's all this? It's not 4th of July. It was 2 days after Christmas. Citibank's closing 19 of its stores. And this is going to be the only office that's going to be open for advice. And it's appointment only. They're all going to be replaced from ATMs. There'll be no more humans in any of the Citibank throughout New York. 19, oh, you can imagine. I said, wow. Yeah, it was a decision that was made 6 weeks ago and it's been handed down and they're just being, they own all the real estate and they're all being sold off. It happened like that. That was banking. That's happened in banking. Now, why you look at banking and insurance companies, in my opinion, I think banking and insurance companies, whether people like them or not, have been the best management systems and processes in business, period. Banking's been around for hundreds of years, and so is insurance. But we don't realise that insurance started in the 15th century. So that's really lasted the test of time. And even they've rationalised and they've cut. And, you know, and there's so many, in every industry we look at, how many have expanded other than probably the areas of, well, Amazon has. They're growing, but they've expanded to get market share, adopted technology, and then they're rationalised with any human intervention. And every time, and even logistic properties that I own now, I walk in to see how the tenant's going, and there's 40 AMR robots running all over the floor. And you got 5 staff here, they had 100. It's all shifting, and that's, I think, so again, just in closing, you've got inflation. We'll be glad to see some reprieve there. I think that's starting to happen. Again, it'll be 18 months to 2 years, but I think before we look back, it won't happen overnight. Interest rates, certain sectors benefit, certainly the borrowers, whether you're borrowing for construction, business, or family home. Unemployment, coupled with a cocktail of artificial intelligence over time. I'm saying that the technology guys that I'm speaking to, software, they are doing some amazing things. The superannuation market, just we should finish with that, $3.7 trillion in the market. The superannuation industry now, with technology, will probably shrink with employees by 40% within the next 5 to 8 years. And why that will happen is the government, if they had their way, they'd love to see 12 funds rather than 600, because we can regulate them, control them. Very hard, the labour cost to control 600. And what we're seeing now is a rationalisation now in the contraction. So I think, you know, jobs and the last thing I wanted to mention, the most difficult thing I've done in 2024, by far the most challenging, is to guide my son to shield him from an industry that's going to be obsolete in 5, 10, 20 years.